Hello and welcome to the Our Giant Leap podcast presented by the Space Generation Advisory Council. Our Giant Leap discusses diversity, equity, and inclusion issues within the global aerospace industry. My name is Tanya, and I'm your host for today's episode. The goal is to bring light to a person's career in aerospace and to answer a specific topic. We will be coming up with tangible outcomes and solutions as takeaways from this podcast. This episode features an interview with Shweta Kulkarni. She is an astropreneur, the director of Astronera, world's first astronomy dedicated e-learning platform. Recognized for her contribution, Shweta was awarded the Fellowship of the Royal Astronomical Society of England in 2018, and in the same year was selected amongst the top 100 women entrepreneurs of India by the Indian Institute of Management, further cementing her legacy as a trailblazer in astronomy and science communication. We'll be focusing on her career as an entrepreneur, creating opportunities for tribal students, and her engagement with people through SciComm. Hello and welcome, Shweta. It's a pleasure to have you as a guest on this podcast.
Hi, Tanya. Thank you very much for having me. I am really excited to talk to you and all the listeners of this podcast. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so for the listeners, can you please begin by introducing yourself?
Sure. You did really nice introduction for me, and I think that covers most of it. But one important thing that I would like to extend on is you called me an astropreneur. So I think I kind of coined this word because how I kind of went ahead with my studies and career in astronomy and decided that what I'm doing, how I'm living my life is part-time astronomer and full-time entrepreneur. So that's how this word astropreneur kind of comes in. I am still studying. I'm doing my graduation from University of Central Lancashire because unfortunately in India we don't really have any graduation programs for the field of astronomy. So this is a distance learning program that I get to do. And I have started being an entrepreneur since I was 16. So I think that kind of covers a little bit of introduction about me being founder and director of Astronera. And now I'm also getting into serial entrepreneurship. I'm helping some other companies as their mentor as well, being co-director as well, and sustainable socio-economic development through astronomy is my newly realized passion and my skill, I would say. So yeah, I think that's what I'd like to share about me as my introduction.
That is really inspiring. Starting something at such a young age is incredible. So, something in astronomy, it should be something I think it's really passionate. And where do you think that your passion for astronomy comes from?
I think I have always been curious about the universe, the stars. I always say that when I was a little girl, my parents used to tell me stories, take me out for stargazing. Even if it was just the three of us, I went to watch some meteor shower as well. It was Leonids meteor shower, which happens around my birthday. So I think since then I have always been curious about astronomy, and I was quite young when I learned about Kalpana Chawla. And in my home also we were quite more of the freedom fighting background. So since we had that background, when I learned about the song Sare Jahan Se Acha, sung by the first person who went to space, India's first astronaut, I thought that that's what I want to do when I grow up. And Kalpana Chawla incident also happened. So that's when I had decided that I want to do something in astronomy. I want to get into astronomy. And of course, like many kids think that when they grow up, they want to be an astronaut. So I used to also say that I want to be an astronaut, and people used to tell me that, oh, you should have really good command over maths and physics and like the science part. And kids always say this stuff, but when they grow up and realize how difficult it is, they give it up. And I took it as a challenge. Even as a little kid, I said that no, I am going to grow up and do something in astronomy. So I think when I was 12 years old as well, I started doing a gym training session specifically made for, being an astronaut when I grow up. So that's how dedicated I was. And then I sort of came into this thought that maybe science communication is my thing as I went ahead. So the spark was, I think, since my childhood, the interest in astronomy. And I could tell you like many different opportunities, amazing things that happened in my life that kind of pushed me towards pursuing it. But the best thing about that is like when I realized that the from the Carl Sagan's this quote that iron in your blood, calcium in your bones, the phosphorus in your DNA is made out of star stuff. And I realized that astronomy is this whole massive puzzle that when you solve one thing, some new question comes up to you, and it's more interesting. It's more fun to solve when you keep on going and going and going. And since so many thousands of years, we've been trying to find the secrets of the universe, and we are still not even close finding, all the secrets. Now, with the age of AI, I don't know how long it's going to take us. It's probably very soon that we are going to figure out many things about the universe quite soon. But that's what inspires me about astronomy, just knowing that we are, very tiny beings on this pale blue dot in the massive universe. That's where my inspiration for astronomy and doing what I do comes from.
Pale Blue Dot. I read that, and it's really inspiring how the pace, it's just like that picture, it depicts how small we are and how important it is to be kind to people around us. And Kalpana Chawla, I think she's that one woman who, she led that path, but is also how it drives your passion and it helps you just go and move forward to pursue your dreams no matter what. So I think that's really interesting. And now that, we're speaking about astronomy and how, it's important for science communication plays a role. What do you think was the spark behind the creation of, I would say, Astronera? What is Astronera?
Right, of course. So when I was a little kid and I had decided that I wanted to study astronomy, I wanted to make my career in it. I was meeting couple of people, some professors, some of my teachers, some family, friends, anybody that I could find who would be able to help me pave the path ahead for my career in astronomy. And I used to ask a lot of questions to them. Many of the time I would just get discouraged, when people used to say that, Shweta, you cannot do it, you're just a little girl, have more fun being a little girl, go into arts, you're good at painting and all those things, so why are you even getting into this science and mathematical complex stuff? But when I did find people like that, I realized that it was very few who could actually guide me, knowing what kind of person I am and what I actually want to do in the field, right? So I realized that there was not much information out there. The internet back then was also kind of a new thing, and there were very few courses, also online courses, to do about astronomy. So I got couple of certificates from Coursera, from Udemy, and I tried to learn more about astronomy through this online courses as well. But I realized that this information that I was getting through these courses was a mere information. It wasn't really knowledge. Like I couldn't take more steps into it. If I learned about black holes, then the course was just going to be about black holes, but it did not have courses about like the life cycle of the stars, which I should have known before, right? So it was like very dedicated courses about just one topic, and it was quite westernized as well. I studied in completely Marathi medium school, which is my mother tongue. And in the beginning, I was quite scared of speaking in English as well, hearing in English as well. Understanding English used to be a scary thing for me. And nothing that these instructors online related astronomical stuff to, I couldn't relate to it, basically. Like nothing that they said was something that I could relate to. So basically, that's when I think the idea came into my mind. By this time, I had already started organizing some stargazing events for people. I was getting more used to speaking in English because most of the people, most of the kids were like, listen, we don't understand these Marathi words that you're saying. Can you please tell us in English? So I started, coming over my fear of English and explaining to them in English. So I thought, what if I combined all this even basic knowledge that I know about astronomy and put it in different courses that people can follow along? Like the basic course would be understanding our Earth, our solar system. Then we could move on to understanding about the sun, then about the stellar life cycle, then about the black holes, and then we can go into like more complex things about astronomy. But there should be like these different levels, and more importantly, it should be relatable to people. People should understand the context that I'm talking about, the analogies that I'm using to explain them stuff. So it should be like very easy as well as entertaining, because I did not want people to think what I thought in my school days, that astronomy is tough, you need to do maths and physics to get into astronomy. So I kind of wanted to break that barrier and create something wholesome that people can simply enjoy no matter what their age. Even a 5-year-old could like look at some of the courses with beautiful animations in it, or even a 50-year-old person who is into astronomy can also go through these courses and have fun learning about it. So that was like the motivation behind Astronera. And then it slowly grew and I pivoted a little bit. Now it is more about connecting similar minded people that people can talk to. As a kid, also, I was scared in the classrooms to ask questions to my teacher. And even nowadays, kids are scared to ask questions because we think that, okay, if we ask a question, the others are going to think that we are stupid and they're going to laugh at us. But I think that is more important to do in order to learn and grow for each and every person. So that is what I'm trying to do through Astronera now, connecting people who are interested into astronomy, professionals, students, amateur astronomers, the resorts who are interested into astrotourism, all this. So that like the basic thought behind Astronera was create an easy access of astronomy for everybody, no matter what their socio-economic background is, geographical background is, money wise where they stand, but just astronomy accessible to all. That was my basic thought.
Even the thought is, it touches you because it's like the things you're not getting, you're trying your level best to, make it easy and accessible to people who are just behind coming and wanting to do the same things and similar things. And you're trying to make it as easy and accessible for them. So it's like access to education is a really fundamental right, and many rural populations struggles with it. Astrotribe, which you refer to you as your brainchild, has gained international recognition and is funded by the Office of Astronomy Development, that is the International Astronomical Union, and supported by the Department of Science and Technology as the Government of India by empowering tribal students in India to generate their own income through astronomy for sustainable socio-economic development and conserving the dark skies. What key challenges did you face in developing AstroTribe, and how do you envision its future evolution and impact?
Right. So Astro Tribe kind of, started a little bit accidentally. One of my mentors said that back in 2019, he just sent me a message saying that, hey, there is this competition of some innovative program that International Astronomical Union is organizing. Why don't you participate in that? And the event was happening actually the next day, so I had to plan everything just within a day because I really respected that mentor and his words. I was like, okay, I need to do something. And I found a closest school which is more in the dark skies area around Pune where I stay. And I just took my telescope over there, and it happened to be a tribal residential school. And when I went there, I realized how curious those students were and how different they were than the students that I had interacted with before. India has like a little bit more than 8% of tribal population. And so these tribal people make really a big part of it. And unfortunately, they are the ones who also suffer from lot of superstitions as well. But they also are the ones who are very close to the nature. So I thought that, rather than thinking that they are a minority and very different to us, let's see what I can do to make their lives better. When I think about superstitions, of course, government is doing a lot of initiatives to, reduce the superstitions. But that is not really happening at a grassroots level. So I thought that if I worked with the kids and I tell them about the scientific temperament, then maybe we can think about better future for not just tribal community but better future for India. And also the areas that these tribal people stay in have really beautiful skies because there is not much light pollution in those areas. They live in mountains and valleys which are really far away from urbanization. And then I thought that when we talk about the development of these tribal people, are we being very non-understanding of what do they need? Because I think what we need to do for them for their development is just make them aware of different opportunities that exist and then give them an option to choose, right? Because then they will choose the option that is best suitable for them, for their development, how their perspective is towards development. So I thought that for this, I could use astronomy as a tool and I could tell them about the opportunities in astronomy. I will not just teach them about like the knowledge and information and like the basic scientific formulas and mathematical stuff, but along with that, I will teach them how to be a science communicators. So AstroTribe program was mix of main three things that a science communicator would need. One is skill to organize stargazing events, to be able to do stargazing, to be able to handle telescope. Then the knowledge of astronomy, the basic stuff that you should know. And the third would be personality development. So, to achieve all these three things, we had to work a lot. And of course, there were so many challenges because, especially in Maharashtra, I've noticed these tribal peoples, the students are very, very, very shy. So to get them to open up and be able to talk about astronomy not just in front of their peers, but if I was to make them ready to go out and organize stargazing events, then being shy is going to be such a problem with that. So we use like different methods to get them to open up, like movement therapy and like some tricks and tips and some games and stuff like that. So they quite opened up through that. With 1 year of training, they gained confidence by organizing stargazing events in their own school. I also got them to Pune, and we organized some stargazing events in the city where they also earned their first income. And that gave them the boost and the confidence that they can do this. Another thing I think was a problem and continues to be a problem for many students who are more of explorative and innovative nature is the confined school system. When like your teachers are basically shaping your mind, and if in school you're just thinking about getting more marks or going into the like engineering area or doctor area and you're not even exploring any other opportunity, you're not able to grow as a person then. Or when I was in Leh Ladakh and I was working with Sonam Wangchuk, I still am continuing my project with them. But the people who are in Ladakh, like more than 90% is tribal population. And while working with them, I realized that they have such different problems than the tribals in Maharashtra. Like it is quite beyond imagination that you are not able to see another village unless and until you travel for a couple of days. The water is such a big issue because of climate change. That is becoming more of an issue for them, right? So all these things, all these problems and challenges that I had not even thought of before. But while discussing with Kale, with Sonam Wangchuk sir, I realized that astronomy can be used as a tool for them as well. When they say that conserve our nature, they do not want to be climate refugees because it's being ignored, and develop sustainable tourism. Astrotourism can come for their rescue, where the kids over there will be trained as astro guides under this astro tribe program, and they'll be able to host telescopes in their homestays. The people who will go there as tourists would be able to enjoy the beautiful stars, the starry sky that Ladakh has to offer, and that will give birth to sustainable tourism through astrotourism and astrotribe project. So definitely there are many challenges that astrotribe project has been going through, but I think there is a better future coming ahead with this, especially with the collaboration with Sonam Wangchuk.
Oh wow, I think no one would have really known what happens and what the tribals in Leh Ladakh are facing, because I think it's not something that is very openly discussed, I believe. And it's only when you're having these discussions and you come to know how astronomy, it's really a humbling experience, I would say, because then you get to connect to people, you get to know more about them, you get to know how the dreams can align, the passion can align, and I think everyone is always curious to know more about what these stars mean, what the universe holds for us. So I think that's really important. But I think with the whole climate change issue, I would say, or efficiently it's tackled, I think it's not really creating an impact because we're lacking with that. And I think with that, coming to the next question, it's like collaborative efforts are dedicated to combating light pollution and safeguarding the natural beauty of these regions, with a particular focus on conserving dark skies. Through conferences and workshops, I believe, and immersive, I think, stargazing events, Astro Tribe raises awareness about the critical importance of preserving the pristine nightscapes in Himachal Pradesh and Leh Ladakh. You recently held the International Dark Sky Preservation and Astrotourism Conference 2023 in Manali. What do you think were the most impactful moments from your experience at this conference? And how do you perceive the community's response to Astrotribe's efforts?
Right. So this program, in collaboration with Astro Tribe, kind of took birth in my mind. Where, as I was discussing with you before, that I realized that where the tribal populations are, not just in Himachal or Leh Ladakh, but all across India, they have very pristine, beautiful skies where there is not much light pollution. So I thought that with the Astro Tribe program, if I can combine it or with like saving the dark skies over there and reducing the light pollution that exists around it, it would be impactful. And we got supported by the Department of Science and Technology, Central Government of India. They gave us a grant to work in specifically Himachal Pradesh and Leh Ladakh to do this. But this project went really nicely hand in hand with the Astrotribe project that was supported by the OAD, IAU as well. So the conference kind of came along with both these projects, where we had a couple of astro guides working with us in Manali. They had just completed their training, and we put out a call for abstracts to get people come together in Manali, which is like a beautiful location to look at the stars and enjoy the mountains, an amazing place to discuss about astronomy and sustainable development and astrotourism and conserving the dark skies and all that. So we got like about 200 responses. We got really good abstract submissions as well. Many people wanted to just come and attend. So it was really, a deep process to be very picky and selective about people who would come there as speakers and present their work, and also those who will come to attend. Because behind this idea was, behind organizing this conference, the idea was not just to discuss about this issue that exists, the light pollution. We all know that this issue exists, but we are just living in ignorance. So everybody who was there already knew that the issue exists, and that's why they had applied to come. So I was thinking that this conference could be a point where we start working on our action plan to reduce the light pollution in the urban areas and to conserve the dark skies in remote areas. So what we did in the conference, there were like many discussion topics, but mainly they were focused on these action points rather than just talking about problems. And we had many international speakers also presenting online, so our in-person participants also got an idea of what other countries are doing to conserve the dark skies and reduce the light pollution. So we came up with a plan, a couple of questions that we need to answer after knowing this problem of light pollution and how we are going to go ahead with it. So definitely astrotourism is one of the biggest answers that we came up with, especially combined with these astro guides, where the trained astro guides will also earn income by organizing stargazing events at beautiful big resorts. The resorts will be compelled to reduce their own light pollution. A lot of resorts put up decorative lights to attract the tourists, but because of this astro guide collaboration, astro tribe collaboration, they'll reduce their own light pollution, and this itself might create a big impact. And now we are going ahead as our company Astronera, and we are discussing with policymakers in Maharashtra, the government officials, where we are going to now have a conference or a symposium with them to discuss these issues and understand how we are going to reduce light pollution and conserve the dark skies. So I think the conference was just a starting point because it's first of its kind conference held in India about this issue. So I think it ignited a spark that we hope will now spread like wildfire to conserve the nature. That's kind of a weird analogy there, but yeah, we'll just roll with it.
Oh yeah, I think yeah. When I heard about that, I did see the speakers and I did see the conference theme, and I was like, this is something that has never happened or never seen before. So something new that's coming, and that for sure people will be curious about, and people will be wanting to know more and see more of it. So that's interesting. So you have a unique approach of targeting the Marathi audience in science communication, particularly in discussions about astronomy, which I find commendable. I recall a recent interview that I watched where you related astronomy to an everyday snack like chakli to explain a concept like the Milky Way. Chakli, for people, it's a spiral Indian snack. So, what motivated you to communicate science, particularly astronomy, in Marathi? And how do you think this decision has influenced your audience's engagement with astronomy and science communication?
Right, yes. So, yeah, Chakali is such a nice example to talk about our Milky Way galaxy while explaining the spirals of our galaxy because Chakali is like that. This kind of came up on the spot couple of years ago when I was discussing about astronomy with couple of students, and I was trying to explain to them how the galaxy looks like while I did not have any presentation or photographs that I could show to them. And so I was just thinking, and in the moment I thought of Chakli, and like that was a really nice example for them to understand. And see, the basically, like the thing is, Tanya, that as I told you earlier, I have studied until my 10th standard. So until I was 15 years old, I have studied in completely Marathi medium. So I
Right.
even studied my science and maths in Marathi medium. So I think I had really good command on Marathi. And
Yeah.
I have my father is a government officer, and he also is a writer. He's just released his first book, which is kind of a science fiction as well. So I think like this hereditary command on Marathi that I already had kind of comes handy when I'm talking about astronomy and trying to relate. As I told you earlier, when I was in school, it was tough for me to relate with the examples that I was hearing from the courses that I attended online, which were mostly from people from US that were hosting it, somewhere from Australia, from New Zealand. So I thought there should be something that I should be able to communicate about for my Marathi audience, because I thought at certain point I was reaching the international level, attending CAP conference by IAU. I had my students in Astronera enrolled from all over the world, from more than 120 countries. So this inspiration to go to the grassroots level where I could talk in Marathi to the people who would never get access to my online courses. I wanted them to learn as well, because astronomy is for everyone, and it is not just for the betterment of us or our kids, but it's for the betterment of humanity. And that's the perspective that people should get. It's these underprivileged people that suffer the most from superstitions and like the drawbacks that come along with it. While in Indian constitution in the article 51AH it is mentioned that having a scientific temperament is the duty of every Indian citizen. So I thought that I had to develop some content in Marathi. Like there are like 100 million people who speak Marathi. So there should be something that is dedicated in Marathi that they can easily understand. Even my family members, some of them are uncomfortable, learning about astronomy in English. So I thought like this Marathi content would help them also to learn and reduce their fear about astronomy. It's already feared about being very mathematical or calculative. I did not want the language to be the barrier over there.
Right. And I think it science communication really plays a crucial role in, very nicely bridging the gap between the researchers and the general audience. So it's basically about how, you're making complex concept easily understandable and engaging with everyone, and how easy people are getting to know about it. And, it's like a story. It's like how storytelling helps people, just I would say, keeping them intact with the whole concept and keeping it engaging. So I think that's how you address these important concepts, relating them with everyday things. So, recognizing the importance of diversity and striving for inclusiveness are key values in your experience. What initiatives or approaches have proven effective in redesigning, programs or courses to better cater the needs of underrepresented groups and to make them inclusive and accessible to individuals from diverse backgrounds?
Yes, so I think that basically we learn that content is the king, the audience is the king. That's what I think I kind of followed. When I started with my company, I was like 16 years old. So I was initially thinking that, okay, I have so much to say, I have so much to tell people. But when I started doing that, I achieved some height, but then I left behind these tribal students or Marathi speaking students from underprivileged background, underrepresented backgrounds, and that did not seem fair to me. And I think I always have been more empathetic towards my approach towards life in general, and astronomy kind of does that to you. Like when you think of even the perspective of Neil Armstrong when he was on the moon, he could just put his thumb up and the entire earth was like hidden behind it. So just this understanding of how small we are, I think I got these two different sayings in my mind, let's call it that. So one perspective is, nothing matters, and the other perspective is, wow, nothing matters. I can do anything. I can try my best and it's not really going to matter. So it's like, do you want to make the best out of what you have, or do you just want to like give up? So I think I took this second approach where I wanted to do the best of what I've got. It's like this, opportunity where if somebody comes to you and tells you that, okay, no matter what you do, you're not going to fail. That's the approach I think that astronomy gave to me, that I'm going to try my best. I'm going to not keep any stone unturned, and I'm going to try to do everything in my capacity to reach out there to make astronomy available to all, because I learned to look beyond the boundaries, beyond the politics, beyond the like difference between different countries or whatsoever, beyond money even. So I think that is the perspective that helped me with empathy, that I could go ahead with this and try to represent these people as well who do not usually get a chance.
Yeah, that is important, I feel, because then no one should be left behind. And I think as child, even in our childhood or as we grow up, we all have a role model or inspiration that we look up to. For aspiring young individuals fascinated by space and astronomy, what words of wisdom would you impart to them?
Oh, would I? Before I say my words, I think I would like to tell about two people who have impacted me the most.
Yeah.
Apart from my parents, that would be APJ Abdul Kalam, who was former president of India, and he had such a huge impact on me when I was growing up. And he used to say that you should dream. When you dream, then you are going to try everything in your capacity to make it come true. So dream big. And the other thing that inspired me was this quote by Kalpana Chawla, where she says that the path from dreams to success does not exist. May you have this vision to find it, the courage to get onto it, and the perseverance to follow it. So from APJ Abdul Kalam, I got the strength to dream, and from Kalpana Chawla, I got the strength to, envision where I would find my purpose, where I would get the courage to like do what I do, and I need to have perseverance, and I learned all that. So, having said this, my wisdom, words of wisdom to you would be to realize that you should be a VIP in your life. So let me explain. This VIP does not mean very important person. That too, actually, you should carry yourself with some confidence. But here, what I mean by VIP, it's an abbreviation. So with V, I want you to be visionary. With I want you to be innovative. And with P, I want you to be passionate. I think if you have these three things, you would be unstoppable. You would gain new confidence, new perspective towards your life, and you would get this understanding of this entire universe, the scientific perspective, which would basically make you unstoppable. So stop making any reasons to put yourself down. Just always follow these three things, be a VIP, and go on with your life.
I think you're gonna inspire people listening to this with your words and what you've said, and it's incredible how you've put it through. Thank you, Shweta, for your time and for sharing your amazing experience and thoughts on the subject. I think for people to follow your work, I think people can go to, I think, the Instagram of Astronera or the website Astronera has and to check out the incredible work that they're doing.
I think you covered it. We have a YouTube channel, Instagram
Yeah.
channel where you can follow, and our website is also, getting revamped. There is some stuff on it, and we would love to hear from all of you. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with me, and thank you very much, Tanya, and entire team of Giant Leap Podcast for inviting me and listening to me. Thanks a lot. Clear sky.
Yes, and one question before we just leave, and it's like wrapping up question. Can you share us with us a funny story from your work or studies?
A funny story. Okay. All right. I don't know how funny this is, but
Yeah.
this is kind of a story that sort of, helped me shape into what I am today. So I think I must be 16 years old, and I had told my parents that, listen, I want a telescope. I told this to them when I was 15 years old, actually. And I told them that I want to buy my own telescope, and telescopes are like very costly. So obviously, my parents were like, once you're done with your important 10th standard exam, then we will buy it for you. And I was like, no, I don't want new clothes. I don't want to go for movies. I don't want to go eat out or anything. I just put all this money into buying me a telescope. And they finally did on my 16th birthday. They got me a telescope. And it was like really nice to have it for myself. And then I decided that, okay, not enough. I need to show people through my telescope, because I cannot be the only one looking at this beauty by myself. I also named my telescope, by the way, called Black Beauty, because it was black and it would show the beauty of the universe. And there was going to be a lunar eclipse just a month after I got my telescope, and I put up a lot of handmade posters around my around my house for people
Okay.
to find it. And I just asked these random people through my posters to come up to like my building, the terrace of my building, and I told them that you will be able to watch this eclipse and I'll talk to you about it. And like about 100 people showed up when I was really not expecting that many people, and they all enjoyed looking through my telescope and the lunar eclipse as well. And I kind of got feedback after that where people said that we love how you told us about astronomy through like these stories and interesting facts. And that is the exact moment where I realized that that's going to be what I want to be. And I realized that this is becoming a science communicator. So I guess, yeah, that's the story I would like to share.
Yeah, the unexpected turn of events that just happened, but yeah, it's incredible. So you can interact directly with us on the Diversity and Gender Equality Project group's social media and leave feedback or advice from your side. This initiative is part of the Space Generation Advisory Council. Also, let us know who would you like us to interview next. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Tanya, signing off.